what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys tonight. The first story, obviously, we're going to talk about the Cali Pro results. And I got to say, I'm really excited for this outcome. So the winner of this show was Ross Flanagan, a.k.a. Mr. Flavor Gang himself. I'm super stoked to see him win this. He was super stoked. He looked like he was in disbelief when they announced him the winner. He beat out Tonio Burton. It was clearly him and Tonio in the top two after prejudging. And I think this is awesome because it really came down to conditioning here. I think Ross was by far the most conditioned guy in the show. And while I think that Tonio had better structure, better proportions, a little bit better shape, just the overwhelming conditioning that Ross had, that's what gave him the win here. It was just undeniable. And I think he honestly looked even better at finals. He looked even sharper. When they did some of the back poses, Ross's hamstrings and glutes were just kind of a whole nother level above everybody else's. So this really turned out to be a show that heavily valued conditioning. I think Ross deserved it. He was clearly the most conditioned guy on stage, and I think it was probably pretty close between him and Tonio on those scorecards. Because like I said, Tonio a little bit more shapely, a little bit more proportioned, but Ross with this, he was bigger and had overwhelming conditioning. So it was kind of an interesting battle with two guys that had really different strong points. So shout out to Ross, man. I think it's really well deserved. Check out his company, Flavor Gang. They make really good sauces. I've tried pretty much all of them at this point. They're phenomenal. Well-deserved victory, and he took out the king of New York here, Tonio Burton. Just very impressive, really exciting result, and I think a much more competitive top four than what we saw at that New York Pro, and a really unexpected result. I mean, no one was talking about Ross this much going into the show. This is by far the best he has ever looked by a significant margin. And I'm excited to see what he does at the Olympia. He's going to the Olympia now. So the other placings, obviously you're looking at your top four here. In second, you had Tonio Burton. In third place, Sergio Oliva Jr. In fourth place, Stuart Sutherland. So I thought that Sergio looked a lot better at finals than he did at prejudging. So this video you're watching right now of this top four is the finals version of the top four. And I think Sergio, to me, looked sharper. And while I think it was probably a lot closer at prejudging between Sergio and Stu, I think it was probably a more solid third place for Sergio at finals. I think he looked, like I said, a lot better here at finals, and I think he really he sharpened up and maybe got rid of some of that extra water. And Stu, I would say, obviously he was just runner-up in New York. He did really well there. I think he looked a little bit better in New York than he looked here. And the one criticism I would say was Stu, and I don't mean this as an insult, but I think he needs to put a little bit more emphasis on like looking comfortable and happy on stage, because in a lot of these poses where you notice everybody else is smiling and looks comfortable in the pose, Stu kind of looks miserable or mad in the pose, and he doesn't smile in a lot of the poses, and I think it becomes kind of noticeable, and it's kind of off-putting when you look at him. And I think when you talk about presentation on stage, there's a lot of different elements to that presentation. And I think smiling and looking comfortable is one of those aspects of presentation and just having a good stage presence. And I think if Stu fixes that, it's only going to help him, because I think it is kind of noticeable that he's got kind of this, he doesn't look happy to be on stage. So I don't know, that's just something that really stood out to me when I was watching him pose, especially in this top four when those other guys were smiling in all the poses and he wasn't. Now also in fifth place, you had Slavoj Bednar. So I was really pleasantly surprised with this Cali Pro. I mean, when that lineup first came out, we didn't know Sergio was going to do it. Obviously, Moshe Ban, he didn't wind up doing the show, even though he said at the last minute he's going to jump in. We kind of didn't know what to expect here, and I think we certainly weren't expecting going into the show when we saw that lineup that Ross Flanagan was going to win and beat out Tonio Burton after that big New York Pro win. So really exciting result. I think a really competitive top four at the end of the day. And all in all, we got a better show here than we got for the New York Pro. This was a really entertaining show. The finals was entertaining, prejudging was entertaining, it was close. And the top two, I thought, was a really good battle. It was really unique. Tonio Burton and Ross Flanagan, like I said, two very different physiques. They both brought two very different packages in terms of what their overall strong points were. Ross with just this insane conditioning, crazy wheels. And that's kind of what I'm talking about with proportions. Like, when you look at Tonio, he's really balanced. When you look at Ross, he's got really strong body parts, but I almost felt like his lower body was overpowering some of his other body parts in the shots. He's got these crazy delts. He's got these crazy quads. I felt like his delts kind of overpowered his arms a little bit. And the same thing with his quads. So that's what I mean when I said I thought Tonio was really well proportioned next to him. But I think that it was a good call. He was so conditioned that conditioning was rewarded here with the victory. Now, I want to talk about Sergio Oliva Jr. for a minute. So it looks like Sergio is back in the United States for the indefinite future, foreseeable future, and I don't think he's going to be leaving anytime soon. So he put up this post with his pre-judging routine, and he says, "When I used to see people say, 'I'm just so happy to be on stage,' I rolled my eyes, but this time for me, it means something different. I wanted to come for this win, and of course, but it genuinely was great to be free to do what I want in my life. I did everything I could for this show. Never in my life worked as hard as I did. No excuses, though. Guys like Andrew Jacked and Hadi Chupin do what I did and travel in other conditions still. No matter what, I'm back and never have to worry about being trapped again." So I think this means he's not going back to Dubai. He's going to stay here in the United States and continue to compete and not be limited by the travel. He says, "No prep will ever be harder after this nightmare. I mostly want to shout out the IFBB letting guys condition like Ross Flanagan Gaines and Beef Stew get not only seen but rewarded. These guys came with it, and I'm happy to share the stage with them." So again, kind of the same thing with Beef Stew. In New York, I think he plays so highly because of his conditioning. So honestly, I'm excited to see what's next for Sergio. I think the travel impacted him a lot here. I think he definitely could have been sharper. Even though at the finals, like I said, I think he looked a lot sharper there. But it was very last minute for him. He flew in just like a day and a half out. He didn't know for sure whether or not he was going to do it. It was a last minute decision. He didn't have like a proper peak week. He was talking about Brazil, New York, and now this show. And this time he finally was able to do the show he wanted to do. So I'm happy for him in that regard. And I really do hope we get to see him continue to compete now that he's back in the States and now that it's more facilitated that he's here. I'm really excited to see what the next chapter holds for Sergio. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about the Cali Pro overall, about the results, about Sergio, about Ross Flanagan. Again, shout out to Flavor Gang. I hope you guys go support his business there. It is genuinely good stuff, and that's kind of what he was known for. Now he's known for being the guy that won the Cali Pro, and he's going to the Olympia. So now he's going to be known as a real threat, a serious bodybuilder now that's winning shows and going to the Olympia. He's a real deal, crazy conditioned IFBB pro, and I was extremely impressed with what I saw here. And I just really like that they rewarded him with the win. I wasn't expecting it. And I believe this is his first professional win ever. Now, next up in the news, we got another physique update from Andrew Jacked, this time posing with William Bonac. After a really impressive showing at the Arnold Classic Ohio, Andrew Jacked now on the road to some Olympia redemption. And honestly, of the current crop of up-and-coming guys, Andrew Jacked is really one of my favorite physiques out of those guys because he's the most different. You can't really compare him to anybody. You can say, well, he's kind of like these taller guys. Well, he's kind of like these guys with these small waists. But he really has a very unique physique. He's got a very unique look. And I think he is the tallest guy that's placing towards the top of the Olympia right now. He's got some of the most unique roundness and fullness to his physique while maintaining this just crazy taper. It's just the roundness and fullness that he has in his chest and his shoulders and his arms, but he still has just these crazy deep etched abs and in this tapered midsection. You just don't see a physique like this every day, and you can see all those strong attributes in this posing video. And he's only like a year into being pro now, to competing as a pro. And I think the next time that we see him on stage, he's going to seriously hurt some feelings. So that's going to wrap it up for the video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all that good stuff. And as always, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at Nick Strength Power. My Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power. My secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.